In the question, they have given some quantities and they are asking us to identify which of the following are vector quantities. So, in order to understand the whole question, first let us check each quantity step by step. So, first let us take electric charge. What is electric charge? It is actually current multiplied by time. Okay. So current, we know that the current is a scalar quantity because it follows the rule. Though it have direction, it won't follows the rules of the vector addition. It follows the rules of the simple algebra addition. Okay. So our current is a scalar quantity and the time is also a scalar quantity. When you multiply both, you will obtain a vector. You will obtain a scalar quantity. So our charge on whole, electric charge on whole is a scalar quantity because scalar into scalar gives scalar quantity. Moving to the temperature, what the temperature? We have seen that temperature won't possess any direction. It has only the magnitude and it can be in degree centigrade, Fahrenheit, Kelvin, etc. and etc. So and also we know that the temperature is a scalar quantity. It won't follow the vector rules of addition. It follows a simple algebra addition. So it is a scalar quantity. Now again moving to the gravitational potential, we know that gravitational potential V is equals to potential energy, gravitational potential energy by mass. So we know that gravitational potential energy is a type of energy and it is a scalar quantity. By mass is also a scalar quantity. So when we divide the both two scalar quantities, the obtained resultant is also a scalar quantity. So on overall, the gravitational potential is a scalar quantity. Coming to the energy, energy can be converted to work and work can be converted to energy. Actually, energy is the another form of the work and we can also say that the work is another form of energy. Both are same quantities, but their forms are different. Okay, and we have studied that work is actually is a dot product of force and displacement. So we have seen that the dot product of any two vectors. We know that the force is a vector quantity and displacement is also a vector quantity. Then the dot product of the two vectors always gives a scalar. We have studied in the vectors chapter. Okay. So we conclude that the work is also a scalar quantity and energy is also a scalar quantity. Moving on, we get the power. Power, we know that power is defined as a work done per unit time. So we know that a work is a scalar quantity and time is also a scalar quantity. When we divide both the scalar quantities, we obtain a scalar. So which means that power is also a scalar quantity. So moving on, okay, so moving on, we are coming to pressure. Pressure actually it is defined as force per area, force per unit area. So most of the students confuse here that force is a vector quantity. Then force by area it also becomes a vector. It will be a small confusion for the students. So in order to clarify that, first you need to study its definition. Exactly what the exact definition of the pressure is. So I have written the exact definition and the exact formula of the pressure, that is magnitude of perpendicular component of force by area of the surface on which force is applied. It means that when we consider a surface and when we are calculating pressure, so during the calculation of pressure we find that suppose if there is a force, if the force is acting in such a direction, in this direction, then we won't take this force vector force vector form of the force, but we consider when we first resolve this force and whatever the perpendicular component of force is obtained to the area, means if component should be perpendicular to the area, that component's magnitude is considered over here. So you can see that the magnitude of perpendicular component of force is considered here. So magnitude of perpendicular component force means it is a scalar quantity by surface on which the force is applied. So surface area on which the force is applied. So here we are not considering any kind of vector, area vector. We are considering only the magnitude of area. So when we divide both the scalar quantities, we obtain a scalar quantity. So scalar by scalar gives a scalar. That means that pressure on the overall it is actually a scalar quantity. So moving on, when we define about impulse, we know that impulse is nothing but a large amount of force acting for a short period of time. So we will define it as J bar is equals to F bar into delta T. And we know that F bar is a vector quantity whereas delta T is a scalar quantity. So when we multiply vector by scalar, the obtained quantity is also a vector. So from here we can say that the impulse is a vector quantity. Moving on, we coming to the area. So most of the students, there is a great confusion whether the area is a vector or scalar. On the whole, actually the area is strictly considered as a vector quantity. So the vector, so when we are discussing the area as a actually area is a vector quantity. On the whole, area, the vector form of the area is actually called as the area vector. So, and generally we use area word as a magnitude of its vector. Okay, area is actually is used as a magnitude of this vector. This area word is used mostly. Area word is used as a magnitude. It indicates the magnitude of this area vector. So, area is not a scalar quantity. It is a vector quantity which possesses both magnitude and direction. And its magnitude is actually the amount of surface enclosed, and its direction is along the area is perpendicular to the area. Okay, the area vector's direction is always perpendicular to the area. So on the whole, area is a vector quantity and impulse is also a vector quantity. So here, from here we can conclude that option B is true.